my Chief Justice, Justice Uday Lalit. I think I'm only the one who can claim that privilege amongst all my colleagues. Mrs. Amita Lalit, my colleagues from the Supreme Court, Justice Dipankar Datto, Justice Prasanna Varade, Justice Atul Tandurkar, their better halves, my colleagues from the Bombay High Court, Justice on the dais, Justice Nitin Sambre and Justice Anil Kilor, and all the colleagues of the dais, their better halves, all my former brother and sister judges, the Solicitor General for India, Tusharbai Mehta, the Advocate General for State of Maharashtra, Dr. Virendra Saraf, Atul Pandey, the President of the High Court Bar Association, Amol Jaltare, Secretary, all other office bearers, the members of the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. There are many senior government officers present here. Shri Rahul Pandey, the Information Commissioner for State of Maharashtra, the office bearers of various associations from Vidarbha region, the government leaders, the lawyers representing the Union of India, the designated as well as non-designated senior lawyers, the student friends, and above all, the members of my own Nagpur High Court Bar Association. I am deeply privileged to be with you this evening. This is my fifth felicitation and one of the last ones, but the most important one for me, because it is this association which has made me what I am today. And therefore, though I have been given, I know the constraints of time, we are already past the scheduled time and I have been allotted 30 minutes. I will try to finish within that, but I don't know whether I will be willing to, because I think I might not get another opportunity to address my brothers and sisters from the association with whom I have an association of almost 35 years to address as the Chief Justice of India, and therefore even if I exceed time, I seek your apologies in the beginning itself. I am really honored to be, खरं म्हणजे हा माझ्या दृष्टीनं घरातल्या लोकांनी केलेला सत्कार आहे आणि आपल्या लोकांनी जे कौतुक केलेलं असतं त्याचं महत्त्व बाकीच्या कुठल्याही सत्कारापेक्षा हे निश्चितच कितीतरी पटीने जास्त महत्त्वाचं असतं. I am deeply privileged to be felicitated by none other than Justice Uday Lalit, who was my Chief Justice for 76 days, only 76 days. It is said that in the past, the Justice Lodha, who was with us in Delhi, was one of the finest Chief Justices who is still remembered as one of the greatest Chief Justices. But I can share on this occasion that I have seen about half a dozen Chief Justices, but the two Chief Justices with whom I'm highly impressed, though both of them had a short stint, are Chief Justice Uday Lalit and Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna. Though Justice Uday Lalit had a short stint of 76 days, and Justice Sanjeev Khanna had almost the same time as I had, of around 6 months. Both of them brought in transparency, democracy, and inclusiveness. It is because of Justice Uday Lalit constituting the 5 constitution bench headed by senior-most judges of the Supreme Court that as a puisne judge of the Supreme Court, I got an opportunity to pen down my first constitution bench judgment in the demonetization case. Like Justice Lalit and Justice Sanjeev Khanna, I am also a firm believer in the principle that Chief Justice is only a first amongst equals and not a master of the coast, not the master of the Supreme Court. There is a growing belief that the Supreme Court is a Chief Justice's court and not a court of all the judges. But I must say, with matter of pride, that Justice Lalit, Justice Sanjeev Khanna, and I have attempted to dispel that notion immediately, like Justice Lalit, immediately after he took over as a CJI, he had held a full court meeting on the very next day. I also held a full court meeting immediately on the next day of assuming the office. And we took all the decisions by taking into consideration views of everyone, and all the decisions were taken by the Supreme Court in its meeting held on 15th of May 2025, were the decisions of the Supreme Court of India and not of Justice Gowai. My two colleagues are present there who were there. The third one joined little later. When I look back upon the journey of 64 and a half years, there are many memories which come in my mind. There is a contribution of many who have made this journey reach its destination where I am today. Though it will not be possible to outline all those things in detail, I think I would not like to miss this opportunity to at least briefly address to them. As with everyone, it is the upbringing, it is the parents who mainly contribute to the upbringing of their children. It is my upbringing in a family which was totally inspired by the ideology of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, the architect of the Constitution, the proponent of the social and economic justice in the country. That has deeply influenced my upbringing and also working as a judge, as a lawyer. My father, as Justice Kilor referred to, had devoted himself to the social and political life from the early days of life, and along with Dr. Ambedkar, he was in the movement for the upliftment of the downtrodden. As a student, as a school-going boy, as a college-going boy, I used to travel with him a lot. And therefore, the problems which I could see him solving, the problems that which he used to address as a a leader of the masses, also had a deep impact on what I think about life, what I think about one should be. As I always said in my other speeches, that it was my father's decision that I should be a lawyer, though my interests were somewhere else. But it was his decision that he said, because he wanted to be a lawyer and because of his commitment to social and political activities, he could not complete his law studies. And therefore, it was his decision which I followed, that I became a lawyer. It's my mother's hard work, and we lived in a small house, and as I said yesterday and also at Amravati, that the facilities for education at that time were very less in the taluka places, and therefore our house always used to have 10 to 15 relatives for the education. And though we had a very humble background, my parents used to look after not only their close relatives but also the expanded family. And I think this is that value of inclusiveness, this is that value of broader aspect to include everyone in the fold that has shaped my future life. After completing my law, because I was doing law in Bombay, I was a student of Government Law College, but since in 1982, I used to live in Mumbai because of my father's office as the chairman of the Legislative Council. But after 1982, she was not continued, and therefore I shifted to Amravati and continued my education in Punjab Deshmukh Law College, Amravati. After passing out LLB, I started practice in Mumbai and was junior with Barrister Raja S. Bhosle. I must express my gratitude to my senior, who was encouraging and gave us juniors a lot of opportunities to argue the matters. I must also mention about some of the judges who at the relevant time were sitting at Mumbai, senior judges, and they used to encourage the junior members of the bar to argue the cases themselves whenever the seniors whenever an adjournment or passover was sought on the ground that the seniors are not available. One of them was Justice C.S. Dharmadhikari, and the other one was Justice P.B. Sawant. They gave me an opportunity by giving me many amicus curiae matters, and therefore, even in the early days of my stint at Mumbai, I could learn a lot by appearing in amicus curiae matters and my seniors matters. I got a rarest opportunity of arguing a full bench in Mumbai in 85-86 on the interpretation of Article 341 and 342 of the Constitution. Advocate Srihari had come to argue that matter from Nagpur, because one of the matters was from Nagpur and my matter was from Mumbai, so they were clubbed together. It was argued before a full bench of Justice Chittatosh Mukherjee, Justice C.S. Dharmadhikari, and Justice S.P. Kurdukar. Mr. Ane, after arguing a case for one day, he got influenza and he was not in a position to come to the court. And therefore he permitted to proceed with the arguments, and I would argue that matter for about 2 days or so. Bhavsaheb Bobade was the Advocate General then, and he was opposing us in the matter. I was always impressed by two of the most eminent members of the Nagpur Bar, Bhausaheb Bobde and V.R. Manor. Coincidentally, both of them were my father's friends. And I developed acquaintance with both of them in Nagpur, in Bombay itself. And both of them advised me that you are from Vidarbha area, so if you shift your base to Nagpur, it will be better for you. In a place like Nagpur, you will flourish better than the sea of lawyers at Mumbai. And I must say that it was the decision to abide by their advice and join the Nagpur High Court Bar and become the member of the High Court Bar Association, Nagpur, which was a turning point for me in my career. I shifted here in 1990. Mr. V.R. Manor replaced Bhausaheb Bobde as Advocate General, and I still recollect 1992. When he became Advocate General, he wanted to change the Government Peters panel. And he asked me to join the Government Peters office as AGP. He said that you will get a very good experience, a variety of matters in the Government Peters office, and it will strengthen your foundation. I had not yet completed 7 years of practice on the date on which he offered that, and when I expressed this difficulty to him, he found out a solution. He asked me, when are you completing 7 years? So that was somewhere in April. He said, we will issue the advertisement after April. And that's how many young lawyers like me, V.M. Deshpande, Arvind Majumdar, and Raju Madkolkar came in the team of the Government Peters. Bhaskarrao Padil was then our captain. He was the Government Peters. And I must state that he gave full opportunities to all four of us. And we encashed that opportunity. May it be me or V.M. Deshpande, Raju Madkolkar and Arvind Majumdar. Unfortunately, two of them are no more with us. He gave us matters to argue wherever even the virus of the medical admission rules, engineering college rules, the virus of statutes were involved. I recollect that when all matters with regard to the medical admissions, because we see that every year medical admissions are there and followed by so many matters. All matters were clubbed together, and he gave me an opportunity to represent all those matters in Mumbai on behalf of the Government Peters office at Mumbai. He was there to give us an opportunity, and four of us were there to encash that opportunity. मराठीत म्हटलं जातं की संधी मिळाल्यावर संधीचं सोनं करायचं की माती करायची हा आपला प्रश्न असतो. And I can say with sense of pride that all four of us encashed that opportunity and tried to excel in our professional foundation. Unfortunately, 1993 incident occurred to which Mr. Mishraji, Panditji, we used to call him, now also we call him Panditji. It happened, and the Nagpur bench faced some sort of turmoil for a couple of years. I left the Government Peters office in 1993 and started my own practice. But I must say that even with the bitterest politics that we expressed at that time, which fortunately was a short-lived period of few years, there was never a bitterness. Most of my friends of my age group were on the other side, including V.M. Deshpande, Anand Deshpande, Sunil Manohar, and Mishra ji and Bobde Sahib, Justice Sharad Bobde are our leaders. Mishra ji referred to his election as a president of DBA in 1993, but he forgot to mention about one election prior to that, wherein Justice Raga and Justice Sharad Bobde were contesting against each other. So I requested Justice Bobde, Advocate Bobde, as his lordship then was, that let us make an attempt to bring back peace to the association. And all of us went to Advocate Daga, as his lordship then was, and sought our vote for Justice Bobde. Dagaji replied की मी माझं शरदला देतो पण शरदलाही त्याचं मत मला द्यायला सांगा. आणि that was the first election that we lost. And Mishra ji, Pandit ji had predicted that we will be losing by a certain number of votes, and that prediction came to be true on the next day. Thereafter, the DBA elections happened, and Mishra ji, with our support, got elected. Thereafter, his ambitions grew, and when there was the election for the High Court Bar Association, all of us had unanimously decided that we will this time create an history by having a first woman lawyer as the president of the High Court Bar Association, and fielded Kumkum Didi for the president's office and Nitin Samre for the office of the secretary SCBA. And I still recollect that time we had taken a big march from the High Court premises to the district bar, from district bar to the charity commissioner's office, and then to the district court. And though Mishra ji was overconfident, Kumkum Didi and Nitin both were elected with flying colors. I forgot to mention Justice Shirpurkar, who is present in the audience. Even in this bitter period, whenever I and Sunil or Anand used to meet outside the court in the corridors, we used to have very pleasant exchanges, and sometimes even the journalists used to ask, तुमचे एवढे भांडणे चालू आहेत मग तुम्ही एवढे प्रेमाने कसे बोलता? But we never brought that politics to the personal level. Till 2000 I was practicing, and with the blessings of all of you developed a good practice. I had never kept hidden my aim to become a High Court judge if I get an opportunity at the appropriate time. And therefore, when in 2000 the then coalition government changed and Vilas Rao Deshmukh, he became the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, he offered me to become government pleader. I was not that keen to accept, but then Justice Bobde, Justice Raga's names were that time in the pendulum. And he said that if you choose to become a government pleader, you will get a shorter route for elevation. Otherwise, you will have to compete with the scholars who are waiting to be elevated. I therefore accepted that offer with a condition. I told Vilas Rao Deshmukh that I will accept the government pleader's office only if 50% of the AGPs are of my choice and 50% are the government nominees. He was kind enough to accept that, and I must say that at that point of time we inducted around 12 young lawyers who had early 7 to 8 years practice as AGPs, and I'm proud to say that today many of them are adorning the bench. The Justice Sambre, Justice Kilor, Justice Dangre were part of my team. Justice V.M. Deshpande was also with me earlier as an AGP. As a government leader, I got an opportunity to appear in many important matters. At that time, Mr. Ghulam Mohamed was the Advocate General, and he had said that he would not like to come to Nagpur because Nagpur was not having an air service which had a business class. And he said that he would not be in a position to fit in an economy chair. And therefore, all important matters before the Nagpur bench were argued by me, be that the NMC resolution case. In those days, there was a practice that in court number A, the last row was always full with either the police officials or the senior government officers who were made to sit in the court from 10:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And the task of defending all those was always upon me, a difficult task, but and when I got an opportunity as a judge of the Supreme Court, one of the orders that I passed was criticizing some of the benches because fortunately one matter came up before me from from Patna High Court, wherein one honorable judge had asked the presence of 193 officers in a year before the court. So I deprecated that practice and said that unless it is absolutely necessary or the officer is found to be in utter defiance of the orders of the court should refrain from directing the presence of such officers. One of the most important matters in which I got an opportunity or which has given a satisfaction to me was referred to some of the speakers with regard to an order passed by a bench of the Nagpur High Court directing all the slums in Nagpur to be demolished within a period of 1 week, and on a failure to do so, the collector was to be held guilty for contempt. Sri Vilaswara Deshmukh was in town with regard to some election, Wardha MLC election. And he said, if this order is not stayed by the Supreme Court and havoc could be created, we will face a very important or very drastic law and order situation. And I told him, if you go by your bureaucratic setup, it will not be possible to get a stay in one order. So he immediately directed the Chief Secretary to issue a GR authorizing me to take all the steps for filing an SLP and pleading on behalf of the state government. We had engaged 2 senior lawyers. I would not name them. On both the calls, they did not turn up, and as was the then practice in the Supreme Court, that if on a second call the scenario is not there, it is for the AOR or the counsel who is present there to argue the matter. This is how I got an opportunity to argue that matter and get that drastic order stayed. Fortunately, the Supreme Court monitored that matter and directed regularization of the slum dwellers by directing the state government to provide a scheme for their rehabilitation. As a government leader, I got an opportunity to oppose many scholars like Mr. Manohar, Mr. Bhausaheb Bobde, C.G. Madkolkar, Mr. Parshikar, and another of my father's friends, who was at that time, I think, the only senior counsel in Nagpur, Mr. K.H. Deshpande. If I had not accepted the office of the government pleader, I would have missed the opportunity to face such giants. Today, except Mr. Manohar, from that generation, nobody is with us. Today, I was fortunate enough to get blessings of one of the most respected figures that I consider, Mr. V.R. Manohar. But I had come last to meet him in Nagpur. I had assured him that in my first visit to Nagpur, after I take oath as a CJI, I will come to seek his blessings. And the happiness which I noticed on his face today, I have no words to express. He was full of blessings for me. He was full of best wishes for me. In 2003, what Justice Bobde had predicted came true. In 2000, I had assumed the office in January, and in September, October, when Justice V.P. Singh came to Nagpur, he asked my age and he said, you will have to now wait till you complete 40. And that's how then I had to wait for almost about 2 years. And then again I was in dilemma as to whether to accept the judgeship or not. Because waiting period at that time, like Mr. Daga, like Mr. Sharad Bobde, was also long for us. But then my father said that if you practice, what you will earn is only money. But if you accept the office of a judge, you can contribute to the ideals of Dr. Ambedkar of social and economic justice. And I must say that it was again a very good decision on my part to abide by his mandamus. As a judge, by that time, when I was elected, prior to that, all the judges who were elected from Nagpur, we were refusing to sit in Nagpur because of including Justice Daga, including Justice Bobde, all of them went to Bombay. And I opted to be in Nagpur. After my oath, my first sitting was coincidentally with Justice Daga, who was on a visiting assignment at Nagpur. And I must say that my first sitting with him was an opportunity to learn. He encouraged me to write the judgments from the very first week that I joined the bar. And what I learned from him was his meticulousness. I gave him a draft, hoping that it will be approved as it is. But it came back with so many circles, semicircles, then this arrow above, this arrow down. And this is the meticulousness in working which I then tried to imbibe in my future journey. I have had sittings with many senior judges. Largely when I was in Nagpur, I was, after a short stint with Justice Raga, made to sit as a single judge. And one of the sittings with which I must make reference to is Justice Parshikar, Arun Bhau. My judgments used to be lengthy. When we sat on a criminal assignment, I wrote a judgment of around 40 pages and gave it to him. So he called me in chamber. काय करून आला म्हणे तू काय हायकोर्ट जज आहेस का एवढं लांब लिहित असतं आणि यू टोवर्ड द जजमेंट इन माय प्रेझेन्स अँड यू सेड कम बॅक सेंड द जजमेंट इन 10 pages. This is how I tried to imbibe precision in my judgments. Thereafter, I completed my full circle. From here, I went to Aurangabad, from Aurangabad to Bombay, and from Bombay to Goa for a short period to come back again to Nagpur. And then I was here for a longer period. I got opportunity to head the public interest litigation bench, work as an administrative judge here. And many of those who were part of my benches as a senior judge or junior judge are present in the audience today. Two of the Supreme Court judges, Justice Varade and Justice Chandurkar, shared bench with me on many occasions. Justice Samre was with me for a short period. But Justice A.M. Deshpande, Justice Shukre, Justice Haq, they shared bench with me here for a longer period. For short stints, I had sat with Justice B.P. Dharmadhikari, who was later on to add on the office of the Chief Justice of this very High Court, and Justice R.K. Deshpande. I had a very satisfying tenure at all the 4 benches. Wherever I went, I received a lot of love and affection from the colleagues there and from the bar associations there. And therefore, though earlier I was of the view that I may not accept felicitations except Nagpur, but then I modified it and I said that I will go to the places where I had worked as a judge and received the warmth, love and affection from the members of Aurangabad and Goa. I think I am already crossing my time limit. I'll try to wind up within 10 minutes. As a judge, as a judge of the High Court at Nagpur or Mumbai, I got many opportunities to decide matters which had an angle of social and economic justice, who had issues pertaining to the ground realities and the problems of the societies. One of such matters was argued by the learned Solicitor General, who was the ASG then at Mumbai, along with Mr. Anil Singh, who was also ASG. As a judge presiding over the PIL in Nagpur, I was happy to see to it that the Nagpur-Jabalpur highway, which was languishing for years together and which had witnessed more than 100 deaths due to the accidents. And we, for the first time, adopted the model of sustainable development while ensuring that the highway is constructed, also ensuring that the ecology and the interest of the wildlife is maintained by providing for long subways so that the animals from one part of the jungle, while traveling to the another part of the jungle, they find that they are traveling in the same jungle. Justice Dangre was the government president. The High Court had passed the bench presided by, I think Justice Varade was sitting with me. We had passed an order permitting the trees for the construction of the highway. The NGT had passed some order, and then the officers of the Forest Department and the collector, they received a notice of contempt from the NGT. Faced with this situation, Justice Dangre who was then government leader, came to the bench and asked, "We have two orders, one passed by your lordships and the other passed by NGT. What should we do?" So I replied that we don't possess an advisory jurisdiction. It is for you to decide as to whether you will abide by an order of the Constitutional Court or by a statutory tribunal. And then in that matter, I got an opportunity to lay down a law with regard to the subordination of the even national tribunals to the high courts, at least within their territorial jurisdictions. As a high court judge, you have always doubts, but fortunately that judgment was also upheld by the Supreme Court. I was immensely pleased to contribute to the health infrastructure in the region of Vidarbha. In a continuing PIL that is pending before the High Court, my dear friend Jugal Kishore Birla, who was the only lawyer when I came to Nagpur from Bombay, except Mr. V.R. Manohar and Mr. Bhavsaheb Bobde and Mr. Sunil Manohar, who are known to me. And he gave me a space to keep my bassa on his table. I was sitting with him till after gradually I developed acquaintance with Justice Bobde and the others and shifted to the bar council room. With that PIL, we could pass so many orders for augmentation of the facilities in the IGMC and the Government Medical College. By an judicial order passed, we directed increase of 100 seats in the Government Medical College, IGMC, and the medical colleges at Akola and Vasantrao Naik Medical College at Yavatmal. In the very same year, Anil Kilor, through his Janmanch, had filed a PIL for establishment of medical college at Chandrapur and at Gundia. And as usual, the Medical Council of India was acting as a stumble block. Noticing that the Medical Council of India was very generous in granting permissions to the private medical colleges and very stingy in granting permissions to the Government Medical College, I was sitting with Justice Haq and I asked him कि क्या करना है. सुप्रीम कोर्ट तो अपना ऑर्डर रिवर्स कर सकता है. He said कि सर कर लो, आप जो होना है वो देख लेंगे. And we passed judicial orders for establishment of 2 medical colleges, one at Gundia and one at Chandrapur, with an intake capacity of 100 students. So in 1 year, the capacity of seats in the region of Vidarbha was enhanced by 600 years. Fortunately, again, those orders were upheld by the Supreme Court. I could, in a PIL jurisdiction, unearth many scams, be it a scam in Public Works Division number 1 of Nagpur, or an irrigation scam, and could augment the development of Gosikurd Dam so that the irrigation potential of Vidarbha increases. There was again a problem at Nagpur with regard to the religious structures at Nagpur, religious structures of various religions, mandirs, gurdwaras, stupas, masjids. Fortunately, we could resolve that issue amicably and save the religious places, around 15,000 in the city of Nagpur. As I said yesterday, and which is flagged by Justice Datta, I always felt that judicial activism was necessary because whenever the executive or the legislature failed, the judiciary had to step in so as to act as a constitutional custodian of the rights of the citizens. But I always also felt that all the three wings should work within the spheres allotted to them. And though judicial activism is there to stay, it should never turn into judicial adventurism or judicial terrorism. And I still believe in the same principle. There are cases and cases to which I can make a reference to, but I'm already exceeding my time. In 2019, with blessings of all of you, I got elevated to the Supreme Court, and in last 6 years, the journey so far has been satisfying. I could author many judgments, including some of the constitution judgments, some judgments of five judges bench, some judgments of 7 judges bench. I can only say that whenever I got an opportunity, be it as a lawyer or as a government pleader, as a judge of the High Court or as a judge of the Supreme Court, I always considered it an opportunity to serve the society and serve the nation. Judgeship is not a job, it's a service to the society, service to the nation. And I always put myself in the role of a student. When I went to Bombay and when I was made to sit on the original site, various new subjects were allotted to me, and I looked at that from the point of view of a student. When I was made to sit on IPR or when I was made to sit on an indirect tax bench, I requested the bar members to treat me as students in that wing and take my tuition classes for 15 days. And I could say with a sense of satisfaction that in IPR, I could lay down the law which was incorrectly being followed by the Bombay High Court for almost 50 years. Even in a Supreme Court, I always put myself in a chair of a student. Whenever a new subject has come to me, I have studied it as a student of law, and I always say and believe in the principle that a lawyer and a judge is a student always, and till end is a student. And the day he feels that he has mastered everything, that is the end of a career of a lawyer as a lawyer and a judge as a judge. As a judge, I always believed in doing what I thought of was right. When I was given a judicial assignment of the judicial officers in Bombay, one matter with regard to a pension of a judge who was, I won't name his present here, who was sent on a deputation as the chairman of the University Tribunal, but denied the pension as a High Court judge on the ground that he was not made permanent. And he was strong enough to stand on principles. He said that he will not accept a single pie unless the High Court judge's pension is made available to him. I decided in his favor, and the man who was without pension, a retired judge of the High Court for 3 years, got his pension after a fight for 3 years. There was another matter which I decided that against the administration. Next week my assignment was changed. The judicial officer's assignment was taken and given to somebody other than me. That never affected my resolve to do my duties as per my oath. Fortunately, as a judge of the Supreme Court and as the Chief Justice of India, in one of the first judgments that I delivered with regard to High Court judges' pensions issues, I could, without referring to my own judgment, uphold my view that all judges, including the additional judges, are the High Court judges and entitled to the same pension. I applied the principle of one rank, one pension. Some of the judges were living in penury. I was aghast when I came to know that a retired judge in some High Court was getting a pension of 7,000 to 8,000. We talk about independence of judiciary, we talk about dignity to the office of the High Court judge, and we deny him even a pension, a basic pension. These are the matters which have really given me an immense pleasure. As Justice Kilor has referred, my father taught me one principle. He said की जर कोणाचं भलं करता येत असेल तर भलं करा, परंतु चुकून कोणाचं दुश्मनाचंही नुकसान करू नका. And I saw him not only preaching it, but practicing it. One of his very close associates, when he started his political career, on account of the factions in RPI, shifted to another faction, and he became his very vocal opponent. And he used to at times cross the borders of decency. And unfortunately, he fell ill. My father took him to the hospital. He admitted him to the hospital, and he told the doctors that give him the best of the treatment. He brought him to Nagpur. Amravati did not have a good medical center that time. And he said, all expenses will be borne by me. He came out of the difficult situation and was again fit to resume his political journey. My father went to meet him again and he expressed remorse. In spite of me doing all this to you, you have done this to me. My father told him, you don't worry, now you are fully fit. I will continue with my work, you continue with what you are doing prior to your getting ill. So this principle I have followed, tried to follow, I don't know, I have attempted to follow to what extent I have been successful in it. The jury will decide it on 23rd of November. In my journey, there has been a contribution of many. I have already referred to the contributions of my father, mother, my family members, my friends, the lawyers, my juniors, the seniors with whom I learnt a lot, the seniors appearing against whom I learnt a lot, the seniors assisting whom I learnt a lot. The hard work of juniors, which on the basis of which your arguments are based. My colleagues, the senior colleagues in the Supreme Court, as well as the senior colleagues in the Supreme Court and my junior colleagues, I always considered it to be an experience of mutual learning. Like I gave example of Justice Raga, Justice Parshikar. When I was sitting with Justice V.M. Deshpande, I learned to read the evidence in vernacular. He said the translations are at times deceptive. And therefore, even today in Supreme Court, though in southern languages it has become difficult, but in northern languages, I tried to read the evidence in vernacular. The staffs of the High Court, the Supreme Court, without which you can't work with your stenographers. I had the excellence of stenographers at Mumbai, Aurangabad, and Nagpur, Mumbai. In Supreme Court, it is difficult to work without the assistance of the law clerks. On Mondays and Fridays, when you have a list of 60 to 70 matters, unless the team of your law clerks ably assist you, you can't do that 2020. Otherwise, it's like a test day match, and you can't finish the bench board by evening. I've had very excellent 17 law clerks so far from 2019 till now. 4 of my law clerks are present in the audience. Shrikant Verma, Abhishek Karnik, Varat Kilor, and Parikshit Chitale. The family's contribution is also immense. A lot of sacrifices are required by your better halves and your children. I received full support from my wife Tejaswini and daughter Karishma and son Jyotiraditya. And of course, you also require critics to correct yourself. Critics are always in the family. घरच्या लोकांना जो चुका काढणं सहज जमतं. But I had 2 very eminent critics. One, a senior colleague at the bench and not senior but elevated shortly after me, in Justice Dilip Karnik and Justice Vasanti Naik. They were frank, open to point out to me whenever I was wrong, and I must admit that I, following their advice, attempted to make correctional measures. And so therefore, when you felicitate me today, you are not felicitating Bhushan Gavai. You are felicitating all those who have made him Chief Justice of India. You are felicitating the Nagpur High Court Bar Association, whose product is Chief Justice Bhushan Gavai. And I must say with a matter of pride, I will always like to remain in the depth of this association, which has given me everything, which has made me what I am today. But one thing I must say with a matter of pride, that within a period of fortnight, the collegium headed by the Chief Justice of India from Nagpur has given a gift to the Nagpur High Court Bar Association in Justice Atul Tandurkar. I congratulate him. I have noted the suggestions of Justice Dipankar Datta. I think we are following transparency, we are interacting the candidates, and we find that that interaction works. We have tried to maintain seniority and the merit in the matters of selection, and Justice Tandurkar is a living example of that, and therefore, no doubt I will be addressing the concerns. I won't thank you. I will only say that I will always be indebted to this land which has given me name, fame, and abundance of love and affection. Please continue to shower that and bless me that my future journey is also as wonderful as the last 40 years as a lawyer and judge. Thank you.
Thank you, my lord, for your visionary and heartfelt address. Your words have truly enriched this historic occasion and will resonate